Sharon, you took the bullet. You went to go see this. And first of all, before you tell us about the film, I want the story of how you ended up in a cinema watching Snow White. Because this is not the kind of film that I think that I would put down and go, oh, well, Sharon's missed some things in the cinema this year, and then this is the one she's going to go, I'm going back in. So
part of it was I want to make the most of my unlimited membership because I record how many times I've been to the cinema and I know how many times it pays to go, and I'm thinking I need to go to see a film, and I went through all the list thinking we've not reviewed that, or or we've reviewed,
yeah,
and it basically left me with it's Snow White. And I just thought, well, if I review it, then at least no one else has to.
So you went to see this on your own?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. I thought Gemma or Ian would have dragged you along or
No,
something.
someone normally drags me along to sort of, the pits, but not this time. I volunteered for this one.
All right. Okay, cool. So tell us.
Well, I went in with low expectations, quite rightly. Well, I tried to go in, but I was conscious that I was aware of the backlash about it. I deliberately don't watch trailers. I deliberately don't read reviews before I see a film.
Yeah.
But because it's had quite a bit of backlash for funny things that aren't even in the film, I thought, well, I want to sort of try to go there thinking, let it tell the story and let it is what it is. So I tried not to bring my prejudices with me, but I didn't have high expectations, just because I was conscious that there has been a bit of a backlash against it.
Yeah.
On one hand, it was the things that a lot of people are making a fuss about. I don't think there is what is the fuss about that? The fact that that Snow White in the books and in previous incarnations of it, she's called Snow White because her skin is white as snow.
Yeah.
Her hair is black as ebony, and in this one, she's called Snow White because she was born in the middle of a snowstorm. Yeah. It's like, however she got her name, it doesn't really matter.
It's the Little Mermaid being black thing all over again. So
so there was a bit of that going on. I thought, well, that's really irrelevant. She is who she is. So whatever. So put that aside. You want to tell the story, and so. But I must admit, I found. Anyway, so you have this. It is a classic story of Snow White, but with some variations.
Yeah.
So it starts the same. She's the only child of a. Well, again, in this story, they introduce it as the queen and king of this country, and normally the correct order of things is of the king and queen. You just tend to go king and queen, but it has written down the queen and king of this country are. And so you have they have these sort of little sort of things like that. But again, forget past that. People want to say, if it was her throne and then he was a consort, then that's fine.
Because
it is. And then, but you don't generally call a king consort king because it tends to not work that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought that doesn't matter. That's just me being sort of pedantic about sort of naming things. Anyway, so she's the only child of this reigning couple, queen and king, and the wife dies and she's left alone with her father. He remarries her stepmother, who comes in looking lovely, but she's beautiful, but she turns out to be an evil sorceress.
Isn't that traditionally a Cinderella thing?
No, this is
it happens in quite a few of the fairy tales.
Okay, cool. Yeah, carry on.
So anyway, as she's then, her father disappears. We don't know what happens to him. He just goes out of the picture. He goes off to sort of do something and never comes back. And she is then relegated to the role of a servant. And then her stepmother becomes jealous of her because she's growing in beauty, and decides that she needs to get rid of her because she's threatening her supremacy as being the most fairest in the land. And so she runs off, or she's sent away into the forest. The huntsman tries to kill her, but takes pity on her, banishes her into the woods, and goes back and says, "Oh, I've killed her." And then she's lost in the woods, the evil woods, and she ends up in this cottage in the woods, and it's inhabited by 7 dwarfs.
Yeah. So far, that's the classic. Everybody knows the classic story.
It's the classic story. So yeah.
And
then it goes a little bit.
Yeah, it goes a little bit.
A little bit different because there's no Prince Charming in this. There's a band of outlaws who live in the woods that she encounters at different points of the story, and the captain of this sort of band of outlaws. We're not quite sure whether they're actors who are dressed in motley and just like live in the woods because they're like sort of traveling show people, or whether they are outlaws, or because it isn't quite clear because they talk about them both interchangeably.
Yep.
and they're dressed in motley, and they didn't look at all like outlaws you expect. Um, and they're not at least bit intimidating or frightening. But anyway, that's beside the point. So that's all story. But then there's the content of it. I think some of its execution, I found there was no chemistry between the sort of Snow White and the not Prince Charming.
Yep.
I found the Seven Dwarfs were not played by characters. They're like
CGI, yeah, which I think is the most.
Like yeah,
I think
like
that's the most. Yeah, that's the most egregious thing about this film.
Yes. So they look like the animated versions, but they're not.
They're supposed to look. I think they've gone straight for the. You ever heard of the Uncanny Valley?
Yes.
I think they've gone straight for the Uncanny Valley and hit it. I think that's what they've aimed for, because they've tried to make them look like the original sort of like animated ones in the 1930s cartoon.
Yeah.
But they've tried to make them look like something that would make sense beside a live action person. Yeah, it's like someone that'll make sense beside a live action person, and it doesn't. It just looks freaky. It just looks horrible. It just looks scary.
They all look slightly grotesque, even though I could see what they were trying to do and trying to sort of replicate some of the imagery of the original animated version.
Yeah.
It does look grotesque to me, and the interactions for me just didn't work. Even
it doesn't look as if her and those things are in the same space. It doesn't. It doesn't look like they're in the same space.
And they do have the same musical numbers and some of the same songs, but they changed the words. So things like "Hi Ho" and "Off to What We Go," and there's another one they sing in the house.
"Whistle While You Work."
Whistle While You Work. I thought, well, none of these words are the same. These are all completely different words.
Yeah. They probably would have. And I know that they've gotten rid of "Someday My Prince Will Come" because obvious reasons. So
they're not going to have one. And then the new songs, I found them a bit bland and forgettable. To be honest with you, as soon as they'd finished them, I had forgotten them.
Yeah, that is.
So I thought it was well intentioned in some ways. I'm thinking, but to me, I just thought it lacked charm. It lacked humor. It lacked joy.
Creatively bankrupt.
Yeah, and it just looked. And I thought, even though she was wearing like Snow White's dress, the yellow skirt and the blue with the, because it doesn't resemble anything else any of the other characters are wearing, she just looked odd the whole time.
Yeah.
She just looked like it looked like a costume. It looked like nothing that she would choose to wear, because it didn't fit in with any other visuals or any other costumes in the whole dynamic of the whole production.
Yeah.
So suddenly dropping her in the middle of it with this costume on, she just looked like she was playing dressing up, and I just didn't. That to me didn't work at all. I kept waiting for the joy to start, but you know what? There's some films you're sitting in the cinema, and you forget where you are. You get drawn in, and you become. Someone could talk to you, and you'd be like, "Hang on, someone's talking," and then because you're there, aren't you? You're engrossed.
Yeah. And there's some films that while you're watching them, you're always thinking, "Where else could I be?"
Yeah, and I was never not aware of where I was when I was watching this film. I was the entire film. I was entirely in my seat. I was never lost in the film, and I think even some of the children, because normally you'd expect laughter. There were kids and children in the production. I didn't hear much laughter at all, or much responses from anyone. And one of our friends who taught us with his children said, they were quite engrossed at some scenes. They were like, with the scary bits and laughing at some bits. But I saw no joy in it. I saw no charm in it. I'm sorry.
How many stars?
2.
Yep. Cool. You see, I wasn't even that. I wasn't that bothered about asking. So, like, what do you think about that? I was like, because quite frankly, I don't care. I mean, it's a Disney live action remake, and Disney live action remakes, as I said, I see them as creatively and morally bankrupt. They are just money printing exercises. It's like they're going, you know what? How much money could we make from name recognition alone? and the answer is billions.
I wanted to
Some of the very early ones weren't that hideous, really, because I remember the Cinderella wasn't great, but it was quite enjoyable. There were fun moments with it.
For me, the best one is still the Jungle Book. The Jungle Book was okay. The live action Beauty and the Beast was all right.
Oh,
Jungle,
yes,
I like Beauty and the Beast.
the Jungle Book is a cut above. The Jungle Book is like the best one that they've done so far. That's one that you actually go, this is actually a genuinely good film.
Yeah,
The
because
Lion
that was-
King, Lion King remake can go jump in a bin. I mean, it's
The Cats likes The Lion King
what?
once. The Cats like The Lion King once.
Yeah,
They sat
yeah.
and they watched it. Only once, though. I pushed on for them again. No interest. They were
And
absolutely enraptured the first time.
And I will never ever try and understand what's going on in a cat's mind, or or try and critique it. They're on their own level. Whatever it is, I don't care. All right, cool. And now